Captain Lee Taman walked slowly across the Bridge of the Soul, Defender, and looked out at the stars through the large front window. The ship was quiet except for the soft hum of machines working below. The captain was young for his job, only 32 years old, but he had trained his whole life for this moment. He never thought it would come so soon. The Soul Defender was the pride of Earth and humanity's first real warship that could travel between stars. It had taken 15 years to build, and used technology that humans had learned from other alien races. The ship was not as big as the alien warships, but it was fast and built with human ideas that no other species understood. 5 years ago, humans had joined the Galaxy Council after discovering how to travel faster than light speed. The discovery happened by accident when Dr. Park Yun-ho was testing a new engine design in his small laboratory. The engine created a bubble around his test ship that let it move through space much faster than anyone thought possible. Within months, Earth had built ships that could reach other star systems, but the other alien species in the Galaxy Council did not welcome humans with open arms. They saw Earth as a backward planet full of violent creatures who had only recently learned to leave their own world. The Council had over 300 different alien species, and most of them had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. The Corvan Empire was one of the oldest and strongest members of the Council. These aliens looked like giant lizards with thick scales and sharp teeth. They stood over 8 feet tall and were much stronger than humans. Their ships were huge and covered in heavy armor that could stop most weapons. The Corvans believed that strength was the only thing that mattered in the galaxy. Commander Park Ji-woo hurried onto the bridge carrying a datapad in her hands. Her face was serious, and Captain Lee could tell she had bad news. The commander was one of the best officers in Earth's small space navy. She had studied alien technology for years and knew more about other species than almost any human alive. Captain, the long-range sensors have detected 3 large fleets moving toward our solar system, Commander Park said as she handed him the datapad. The ships are definitely Corvan, and they are not trying to hide their approach. The computer estimates over 200 warships in total. Captain Lee looked at the numbers on the screen and felt his stomach drop. 200 Corvan warships against Earth's tiny fleet of 12 ships. It was not even a fair fight. The Corvans could destroy every human ship and then attack Earth without any trouble at all. Earth had no chance of winning a battle like this. Why are they coming here? Captain Lee asked, even though he already knew the answer. The Corvans had been complaining about Earth for months. They said humans were taking up space in the galaxy that belonged to stronger species. They wanted Earth's water and the rare metals found in the asteroid belt around the sun. The Corvan Emperor sent a message to the Galaxy Council 3 days ago. Commander Park explained. He claimed that humans are too dangerous to be left alone and that Earth should be placed under Corvan protection. The Council voted on it, but they said each species must handle their own problems. The Council will not help us. Captain Lee was not surprised. The Galaxy Council had never treated humans as equals. During every meeting, Earth's representatives were given the worst seats and asked to speak last. When humans suggested new ideas for trade or peace, the other species would laugh or ignore them completely. It was clear that most aliens saw humans as children who did not understand how the galaxy really worked. The captain pressed a button on his chair to open a communication channel to Earth's military headquarters on the planet below. Admiral Choi Dong-hyun appeared. On the main screen, the admiral was an older man with gray hair who had spent his whole career preparing for this day. He had always known that Earth would eventually have to fight for its place in the galaxy. Admiral, we have confirmed that the Corvan fleet is approaching our system. Captain Lee reported. They will arrive in approximately 48 hours, and they are bringing enough ships to destroy our entire defense force. What are your orders? Admiral Choi was quiet for a long moment as he thought about their situation. Earth's military leaders had spent years planning for this possibility, but they had hoped it would never actually happen. The human race was not ready for a full-scale war against an alien empire that had been conquering other worlds for centuries. Gather all available ships and prepare for battle. Admiral Choi finally said. His voice was calm, but Captain Lee could hear the worry underneath. We will not surrender our world without a fight. The human race has survived wars and disasters for thousands of years. We will find a way to survive this too. Dr. Kim So-young appeared on another screen from her laboratory deep inside Earth's moon. She was the head of Earth's military research department and had been working on secret projects that even most government leaders did not know about. The doctor was brilliant and had been studying alien technology since first contact 5 years ago. Captain, I have been monitoring the Corvan fleet with our deep space sensors. Dr. Kim said. She looked tired but excited at the same time. Their ships are exactly what we expected. Large, slow, and built for intimidation rather than actual combat effectiveness. They are using old technology and predictable attack patterns. Do you mean? Dr. Captain Lee asked. He hoped she had discovered some weakness that could help them win the impossible battle. Humans think differently than other species, Dr. Kim explained. We adapt and change our tactics based on what we learn. The Corvans and most other aliens have been using the same strategies for centuries. They never change because they believe their old ways are the best ways. This gives us an advantage they do not expect. The doctor continued explaining that human ships were smaller and faster than alien warships, but this was actually a good thing. Human engineers had designed their ships to be flexible and quick rather than big and heavy. The Soul Defender could move 3 times faster than a Corvan battleship, and change direction much more easily. Young pilot Han Minjun volunteered to take a small scout ship and get closer to the enemy fleet. Everyone knew it was a dangerous mission because Corvan sensors could detect him and destroy his ship before he could escape, but the information he could gather might help save Earth from total destruction. The scout mission launched 6 hours later, and Han Minjun flew his tiny ship toward the edge of the solar system where the Corvan fleet was gathering. His ship was equipped with the latest stealth technology that made it almost invisible to alien sensors. The pilot was nervous but determined to help protect his home world. When Han Minjun got close enough to see the enemy ships clearly, he could hardly believe what he was looking at. The Corvan fleet was massive, with battleships that were each 10 times bigger than the Soul Defender. The aliens had arranged their ships in perfect formations that looked impressive but also predictable. Young pilot used his ship's advanced cameras to record everything he could see about the enemy fleet. He noticed that the Corvan ships moved very slowly and always stayed in the same patterns. Their weapons were huge but seemed to take a long time to charge up between shots. The alien commanders were clearly confident that their size and numbers would win the battle easily. Han Minjun sent his report back to Earth and then carefully flew away from the enemy fleet. His heart was beating fast as he thought about what he had seen. The Corvan ships were powerful, but they were also old-fashioned and inflexible. Maybe Dr. Kim was right, and humans did have advantages that the aliens could not understand. Back on the Soul Defender, Captain Lee reviewed the scout report with his officers. The information confirmed what Dr. Kim had predicted. The Corvan fleet was built for old-style warfare, where 2 groups of ships would line up and shoot at each other until one side was destroyed. But humans had studied military history and knew that the side with better tactics often beat the side with more ships. The captain looked around at his crew and saw determination in their faces. These men and women had trained for years to defend Earth, and they were not going to give up easily. The human race might be new to space warfare, but they had been fighting and surviving on their home planet for millions of years. Commander Park finished calculating how long they had before the enemy arrived, and announced that all human ships should be ready for battle within 36 hours. It was not much time, but it would have to be enough. The fate of humanity and Earth itself would be decided in the next few days. Captain Lee stood up and walked to the front of the bridge again. The stars looked the same as they always had, but he knew that everything was about to change. The galaxy had underestimated the human race, and now they would learn what humans could do when fighting for their survival. The Corvan fleet entered Earth's solar system like a massive wall of metal and death. General Thok stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds, and looked down at the small blue planet that would soon belong to his empire. The general was over 9 feet tall, with dark green scales and yellow eyes that glowed in the dim light of his command center. General Thok had conquered 12 worlds for the Corvan Empire and had never lost a single battle. He was famous throughout the galaxy for his brutal tactics and his refusal to show mercy to defeated enemies. The general believed that fear was the best weapon, and he used it to control entire star systems and the surrender message to the human homeworld. General Thak ordered his communications officer, "The humans need to understand that resistance is useless and will only lead to their complete destruction." The message was broadcast on all frequencies so that every human on Earth could hear it. "This is General Thak of the Corvan Empire speaking to the primitive species of Earth. You have 48 hours to surrender your planet and accept Corvan rule. If you refuse, we will destroy your cities and enslave your population. The choice is yours, but choose wisely." Earth. Billions of people watched their screens as the alien message was translated into every human language. Children cried and adults prayed as they realized their world was about to be invaded. Many people packed their belongings and tried to flee to remote areas where they might hide from the alien forces, but Admiral Choi Dong-hein had a different response ready. He activated the emergency broadcast system and spoke directly to General Thak and his fleet. "This is Admiral Choi of Earth Defense Command. We have received your message and we have an answer for you. We refuse your demands and we will defend our world with everything we have." Admiral continued his message with words that confused the Corvan general completely. "Earth belongs to humanity, and we will not give it up to bullies and cowards who attack peaceful worlds. If you want our planet, you will have to take it by force, and we promise you that will not be as easy as you think." General Thok could not believe what he was hearing. No species had ever refused his surrender demands. The humans were outnumbered 20 to 1, and their ships were tiny compared to Corvan battleships. How could they possibly think they had any chance of winning this battle? Dr. Kim So-young was working frantically in her secret laboratory beneath the lunar surface. She had spent months preparing for this moment, and now it was time to reveal the weapons and tactics that would shock the entire galaxy. The doctor activated her communication link to all human ships or vessels. "This is Dr. Kim. Prepared to deploy the surprise packages we have been working on. The aliens think they understand human technology, but they have never seen anything like what we are about to show them. Remember your training and trust in human ingenuity." The first battle began near Mars, where the Corvan Advance Guard met the human defense fleet. Lieutenant Yu Haijin led a squadron of 6 small fighters against 30 massive alien battleships. The odds seemed impossible, but the young pilot had trained for exactly this situation instead. of attacking the enemy ships directly. Lieutenant Yu used the asteroid belt around Mars as cover. Her fighters moved between the large rocks at incredible speed while the heavy Corvan ships could not follow. The aliens tried to shoot at the human vessels, but their massive weapons could not track targets that moved so quickly. The Corvan commanders had never fought an enemy that used the environment as part of their strategy. In all their previous battles, alien fleets would meet in open space and exchange fire until one side was destroyed. But humans had studied the geography of their solar system and knew every asteroid, moon, and planet that could give them an advantage. Lieutenant Yu led her squadron in a coordinated attack that hit the enemy fleet from 6 different directions at once. The human fighters used the gravity of Mars to increase their speed and fired their weapons at the exact moment they passed the alien ships. The attack was over in seconds, but it destroyed 5 Corvan battleships. Captain Nam Wusong commanded the human cruiser Busan Pride, and he had his own surprise ready for the enemy. His ship pretended to be badly damaged and drifted helplessly through space. The Corvan ships moved closer to finish off what they thought was a crippled vessel. When the alien ships were close enough, Captain Nam activated his hidden weapons. The Busan Pride was equipped with short-range plasma cannons that had been disguised to look like damaged hull sections. The surprise attack destroyed 3 enemy ships before they could react. The Corvan fleet commanders were starting to panic. They had expected an easy victory against primitive human forces, but instead they were losing ships to tactics they had never seen before. The humans were using deception, trickery, and speed instead of brute force. Engineer Bei Sung-ho had modified all the human missiles with a special surprise that no alien species had ever encountered. When the missiles got close to their targets, they would split apart into dozens of smaller warheads. Each small warhead could destroy a different part of an enemy ship. The Corvan defense systems were designed to stop large single missiles, but they could not handle attacks from many small targets at once. Within minutes, 30 more alien ships were destroyed by weapons that seemed to multiply in the middle of battle on Earth. Civilian scientist Hong Su-bin was coordinating with the military to turn the planet's communication satellites into weapons. The satellite network created interference that blinded enemy sensors while giving human ships perfect information about where to aim their attacks. This cooperation between military and civilian forces amazed the Galxy Council observers who were watching the battle from a safe distance. Other alien species kept their armies and civilians completely separate, but humans understood that everyone had to work together to defend their world. Dr. Kim activated another surprise weapon that she had been developing in secret. Human ships began launching clouds of microscopic robots that spread through space like invisible fog. When the tiny machines reached enemy vessels, they attached themselves to the hull and began interfering with critical systems. The nanobots were programmed to disable weapon systems, engines, and life support in a specific sequence that would cause maximum confusion without killing the alien crews. Dr. Kim believed that showing mercy, even during battle, would prove that humans were not the savage barbarians that other species thought they were. General Thok watched in horror as his mighty fleet began falling apart. The humans were using weapons and tactics that did not exist in any military database. The Corvan Empire had fought wars for thousands of years, but they had never encountered an enemy like this. The human ships moved like dancers, weaving between asteroids and using planets as shields. They attacked from unexpected angles and disappeared before the Corvan weapons could target them. Every time the aliens thought they understood the human strategy, the Earth forces would try something completely different. Captain Lee Taemin coordinated the overall battle from the Soul Defender, and he could see that their tactics were working. The human fleet had only lost 2 ships, while the Corvan advance force had been reduced by more than half. The aliens were starting to retreat toward the outer edge of the solar system, but the captain knew this was only the beginning. General Thok still had over 150 ships in reserve, and he would not give up. Easily, the real test of human ingenuity and determination was still to come. The first day of battle ended with humanity still in control of their solar system, but everyone knew that the Corvan Empire would not accept defeat. The aliens would regroup and attack again with everything they had. The fate of Earth and the human race would be decided in the battles to come. General Thok paced back and forth on his command bridge like a caged animal. His yellow eyes burned with rage and his sharp claws scraped against the metal floor. The mighty Corvan fleet had lost 60 ships to a handful of human vessels, and he could not understand how this was possible. The general opened a secure communication channel to the Corvan homeworld and waited for the Emperor to answer. When the massive face of Emperor Vrak appeared on the screen, General Thak could see disappointment in his ruler's ancient eyes. "My Emperor, I request immediate reinforcements," General Thak said, trying to keep his voice steady. "The humans are using unknown weapons and tactics that do not appear in any of our military databases. They fight like nothing we have encountered before." Emperor Vrak was silent for a long moment as he considered this unexpected development. The Corvan Empire had never needed reinforcements to defeat a single planet before. Today's battle results made no sense and threatened everything the Empire believed about their military superiority. "Will have your reinforcements, General," the Emperor finally replied. I am sending the Zephyrian bird fleet and the Nixari crystal ships to assist you. Together you will have over 500 vessels. No single world can stand against such overwhelming force. The Zephyrians were a proud race of bird-like aliens who could fly through space without ships when necessary. Their vessels were fast and deadly, designed for quick strikes against enemy formations. The Nixari were living crystal beings whose ships could repair themselves during battle and were nearly impossible to destroy completely. Within 12 hours, the reinforcement fleets arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. The combined alien armada was the largest military force ever assembled in this part of the galaxy. 3 different species working together represented enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. Captain O.G. Hoon studied the sensor readings from his position on the lunar surface and realized that humanity faced complete annihilation. The odds had gone from difficult to absolutely impossible, but he refused to give up hope. The human race had survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars by adapting to impossible situations. Captain O had been working with Dr. Lee Yansu on a secret project that could change everything. They had been building mass drivers on the dark side of the moon, weapons that could launch projectiles across space at incredible speeds. The lunar mass drivers had been hidden from alien sensors and were ready for their first test. Dr. Lee activated the targeting computers and selected the largest Corvan battleship in the enemy formation. The mass driver used magnetic fields to accelerate a solid metal projectile to nearly the speed of light. When the projectile hit the enemy ship, it punched completely through the hull and caused a massive explosion. The alien commanders could not understand what had happened there. Sensors showed no missiles or energy beams, yet their flagship had been destroyed in seconds. The humans had turned their own moon into a giant weapon, and the aliens had no defense against attacks from that direction. Commander Jung Sora led a squadron of stealth ships that had been invisible to alien technology since the beginning of the battle. These vessels used a special coating that absorbed sensor waves instead of reflecting them back. The stealth fighters had been waiting behind enemy lines for the perfect moment to strike. The stealth squadron attacked the alien supply ships in communication relays while the main fleets were focused on each other. Without supplies and communications, the massive enemy armada began to fall apart. Each species started fighting independently instead of working together as a unified force. Young engineer Kim Taeyong made a discovery that would change the course of the entire battle. He had been studying recordings of alien shield technology and noticed that all 3 species used similar energy frequencies. If human computers could match those exact frequencies, the enemy shields would cancel themselves out. Kim Taeyong quickly programmed the shield cancellation codes into every human weapon system. Within minutes, Earth's fighters and cruisers were shooting through alien defenses like they did not exist. The enemy ships that had seemed invincible suddenly became easy targets for human weapons. The battle turned into a complete disaster for the alien alliance. Their overwhelming numerical advantage meant nothing when human tactics made their defenses useless. The Zephyrian birds tried to use their speed, but human missiles that split into multiple warheads could not be avoided by quick maneuvers. The Nixari crystal ships could repair damage to their hulls, but they could not fix their computer systems. When human nanobots infected their networks, the tiny robots spread through the crystal vessels like a virus, causing navigation failures and weapon malfunctions at exactly the wrong moments. Captain Lee Taemin coordinated the final assault on the remaining enemy forces. His strategy used every advantage that humans had discovered during the battle. The attack came from 6 different directions, with lunar mass drivers providing cover fire from above. Each human ship targeted specific weak points that had been identified during earlier engagements. The coordination required would have been impossible for other species, but humans excelled at complex teamwork that combined individual creativity with group planning. The Galaxy Council emergency session had turned into complete chaos as representatives from 300 different species argued about what to do. Some council members wanted to negotiate with Earth immediately, while others suggested forming a massive alliance to stop human expansion before it could threaten other worlds. Ambassador Zin of the Altarian Federation stood up to address the council, and his words carried the fear that many species were feeling. If humans can defeat the combined fleets of 3 major military powers, what does this mean for the rest of us? Are we next on their list of conquests? But wise old Counselor Nem of the Peaceful Traders pointed out something important that others had missed. The humans have only defended themselves and have not attacked anyone who left them alone. Perhaps we should consider that they are not the aggressors. In this conflict, the council chamber fell silent as the implications of this statement sank in. The Galaxy Council had refused to help Earth when the Corvans attacked and had treated humans as inferior beings since first contact. Now those same humans had proven they could destroy any fleet sent against them. Some species that had bullied Earth during trade negotiations began sending secret messages offering friendship and better deals. Others started preparing their own defenses, wondering if humans might seek revenge for years of poor treatment. The battle in Earth's solar system was being broadcast live to every corner of the galaxy, and billions of alien beings watched in amazement as human tactics destroyed ships that had seemed invincible. The recordings would be studied in military academies for generations to come. General Thuck realized that his career and possibly his life were over as he watched his mighty fleet fall apart around him. The humans had outfought and outmaneuvered forces that should have crushed him. His early victory was no longer possible and survival was becoming doubtful. The tide of battle had turned completely, and now the alien alliance was desperately trying to escape from the solar system they had come to conquer. But human ships were faster and more maneuverable than anything the aliens possessed. The hunters had become the hunted. Captain Lee stood on the bridge of the Soul Defender and watched enemy ships flee in all directions. Some were calling for surrender while others were simply running for their lives. The impossible had happened, and humanity had defended their world against overwhelming odds. News of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than anyone had expected. Within hours, every major news network was broadcasting footage of human ships performing impossible maneuvers and destroying alien vessels that had seemed invincible. The recordings became the most watched content in galactic history. Captain Lee Min-ho's tactical footage showed human fighters weaving through asteroid fields and using gravity assists to achieve speeds that physics experts had thought impossible. The videos were analyzed by military academies on 1,000 different worlds, and every analysis reached the same conclusion: humans fought like no other species on the Corvin homeworld. Emperor Vrak sat in his throne room staring at reports that seemed like complete lies. How could primitive humans destroy the finest battle fleets in the galaxy? The numbers made no sense, and the tactical descriptions sounded like science fiction rather than real military engagements. General Thack's desperate messages from the battlefield described weapons that did not exist in any database and strategies that violated every principle of civilized warfare. The humans used deception asteroid fields as weapons and even turned their own moon into a massive gun platform. The Emperor's military advisors tried to explain what had happened, but their words sounded hollow and unconvincing. They spoke of human unpredictability and technological surprises, but could not answer the simple question of how a species barely 5 years in space could defeat forces with thousands of years of experience. Park Youngji had been working on her most ambitious project during the entire battle, and now it was time to deploy her secret weapon. She had created microscopic robots that were invisible to all known sensors and could disable enemy ship systems from the inside. The nanobots spread through the remaining alien fleets like a plague, causing critical failures at exactly the right moments. Weapons would malfunction during combat, engines would shut down during escape attempts, and life support systems would flicker on and off, creating panic among enemy crews. The tiny machines were programmed with human creativity and unpredictability. Each nanobot could adapt its mission based on what it found inside enemy ships. Some would target navigation systems, while others focused on communications or weapon control. The aliens had no defense against technology they could not even detect. Shin Dongmin prepared to lead the final assault on the scattered remains of the enemy forces. His strategy combined every advantage that humans had learned about their opponents during the long battle. The attack would demonstrate the full power of human military thinking. The assault came from multiple directions simultaneously, with each human ship targeting specific weak points that had been identified through careful observation. Human fighters attacked from above and below, while cruisers struck from the sides and mass drivers provided covering fire from the lunar surface. The coordination required for such a complex attack would have been impossible for most species, but humans excelled at teamwork that combined individual initiative with group planning. Every pilot and captain knew their role and could adapt their tactics based on changing battlefield conditions. The final battle lasted only 3 hours, but it completely destroyed what remained of the alien alliance. The Corvin Empire lost over 200 ships. The Zephyrian bird fleet was reduced to a handful of survivors, and the Nexari crystal vessels fled toward the edge of the solar system. Galaxy Council observers who had been watching the battle from their safe positions began to panic as they realized what they had witnessed. If humans could defeat 3 major military powers working together, what did this mean for the balance of power in the galaxy? Some council species that had treated Earth poorly during trade negotiations started sending emergency messages offering friendship and better deals. The messages were desperate and promised everything from advanced technology to exclusive trading rights if humans would agree to peaceful relations. Species began preparing their own defenses and calling for emergency military meetings. The possibility that humans might expand beyond their solar system and seek revenge for years of poor treatment had become a terrifying reality that kept alien leaders awake at night. The Altarian Federation, which controlled 12 star systems near Earth, sent a diplomatic mission with instructions to negotiate a non-aggression pact. The Federation had been one of the species that laughed at human representatives during council meetings, and now they feared human retaliation. But the most shocking development came from the Peaceful Traders Alliance, which had always claimed to be neutral in galactic conflicts. They offered to make Earth a full member with voting rights equal to species that had been in space for millennia. The offer came with access to advanced technology and exclusive trade routes. Captain Oh Ji-hoon received reports that alien spy satellites around Earth were being recalled and that several species were withdrawing their military forces from systems near human space. The galaxy's power structure was changing, and everyone wanted to be on the winning side. Kim So-young analyzed the battle data and made a discovery that would terrify every military leader in the galaxy. Humanity had used less than half of their available weapons and tactics during the fight. Earth's scientists had been developing technology that made the recent battle look like a training exercise. Post-battle analysis showed that human ships had been holding back their most powerful weapons and advanced defensive systems. The message was clear: Earth had defended itself with restraint, not desperation, and had much more military capability than anyone had realized. Young pilot Han Min-jan, who had started the conflict as a scout, was now promoted to squadron leader and tasked with training new human pilots in the tactics that had saved Earth. His students learned that being underestimated was an advantage and that creativity could overcome superior numbers. The training programs developed by Han Min-jan and other human veterans began to spread throughout Earth's growing space navy. New tactics were tested and refined, while engineers worked on even more advanced weapons based on lessons learned during the battle. Ambassador Sarah Chen received her first invitation to address the Galaxy Council as an equal rather than as a representative of a minor species. The invitation came with a formal apology for years of poor treatment and a request for Earth to consider joining the Council's inner circle of influential members. The galaxy would never be the same, and every species now understood that humanity was a force that could not be ignored or dismissed. The age of human expansion was about to begin, and the stars themselves would learn to respect the species from the small blue planet called Earth. The last alien ships fled Earth's solar system in complete defeat, leaving behind debris fields that would orbit the sun for centuries. Admiral Choi Dong-hyun could have ordered his forces to pursue and destroy every escaping vessel, but instead, he chose to send a message that shocked everyone listening. This is Admiral Choi of Earth's Defense Command. Speaking to all retreating forces, we offer medical assistance to your wounded and safe passage home. To those who surrender, we have no desire to continue this battle. If you choose peace, the offer of mercy toward defeated enemies was completely unknown in galactic warfare. Most species would have destroyed fleeing ships and enslaved survivors, but humans showed compassion even toward those who had tried to destroy their world. This unexpected kindness confused alien commanders more than any weapon or tactic. General Thok sat in his damaged command center, surrounded by broken equipment and injured crew members. His mighty fleet had been reduced to fewer than 30 ships, and his career as a military leader was over. The general expected to be executed when he returned home, but first he wanted to understand how humans had defeated him so completely. The Corvan general sent a message requesting a meeting with human military leaders. He expected to be taken prisoner or worse, but Admiral Choi surprised him by agreeing to meet on a neutral space station. The admiral even offered to provide transportation, since most Corvan ships were too damaged to travel safely. When General Thak arrived at the meeting, he was prepared for torture, interrogation, or immediate execution. Instead, Admiral Choi offered him coffee and began asking questions about Corvan culture and history. The human leader seemed genuinely interested in preventing future conflicts rather than punishing defeated enemies. The alien general's worldview changed completely during that conversation as he realized that humans saw former enemies as potential friends rather than permanent threats. Admiral Choi explained that Earth had no interest in conquering other worlds but would defend themselves against any aggressor. As a general, Thok learned that human military doctrine was based on defense and deterrence rather than conquest and expansion. The humans had developed their advanced weapons not to attack others, but to ensure that their homeworld could never be successfully invaded by hostile forces. Kim So-young released her post-battle analysis. 2 selected members of the Galaxy Council, and the report sent shockwaves throughout civilized space. The analysis revealed that humanity had used less than half of their available military technology during the recent conflict. The report described weapons systems that could destroy entire fleets in minutes and defensive technologies that would make human ships nearly invincible. The message was clear: Earth had defended itself with restraint and still possessed military capabilities that no other species could match. Captain Lee Taemin received new orders to begin training programs for human colonial expansion fleets. Earth would no longer be confined to a single solar system but would establish peaceful colonies on uninhabited worlds throughout the galaxy. The expansion would be protected by fleets that aliens now feared to confront. The Galaxy Council held an emergency session that lasted for 3 full days as representatives from hundreds of species debated what to do about the human situation. Some members wanted to form a massive alliance against Earth, while others argued for immediate diplomatic recognition. Nelson Nem of the Peaceful Traders stood before the assembly and delivered a speech that would be remembered throughout galactic history. The humans have shown us something we had forgotten, she said. They fight fiercely when threatened but offer mercy to the defeated. They seek only to protect their own people, not to dominate others. The final vote was unanimous. Earth would receive senior membership status in the Galaxy Council with full voting rights and veto power over major decisions. Species that had once ignored human diplomats now competed to offer the best trade agreements and military partnerships. Semper Vrak of the Corvan Empire sent a formal message of surrender and a request for peace negotiations. The proud alien ruler, who had never been defeated in battle, acknowledged that humans were superior warriors and offered to pay tribute to Earth in exchange for non-aggression agreements. The Zephyrian bird fleets and Nexari crystal ships sent similar messages along with offers to share advanced technology in exchange for human friendship. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted permanently, and everyone wanted to be on the right side of the new order. Young engineer Kim Tae-young was promoted to head of Earth's new colonial defense program and tasked with developing weapons and tactics for protecting human settlements on distant worlds. His innovations would ensure that no alien force could threaten human colonies. Dia Park Yoonji established the Galactic Defense Research Institute with funding from dozens of alien species who wanted access to human military technology. The institute would develop new weapons and defensive systems while maintaining Earth's technological advantages. Captain Oh Ji-hoon was given command of humanity's first interstellar colony ship and ordered to establish a human settlement in the Centauri system. The colony would serve as a forward base for further expansion and a demonstration of human engineering capabilities. The Soul Defender was upgraded with the most advanced technology available and became the flagship of Earth's growing interstellar navy. Captain Lee Taemin would lead humanity's expansion into the galaxy while ensuring that no species would ever again dare to attack. Human Worlds Commander Park Ji-woo established the first human military academy for training officers who would serve on colony ships and defense platforms. The academy taught tactics that combined human creativity with alien technology, creating a new form of warfare that other species struggled to understand. Lieutenant Yoo Hae-jin became an instructor at the academy, teaching young pilots how to use asteroids, planets, and moons as tactical advantages. Her students learned that the environment could be their greatest weapon if they understood how to use it properly. Han Min-jun, now a squadron commander, trained new pilots in the art of unconventional warfare. His students practiced attacks from impossible angles and learned to think like humans rather than following predictable alien military doctrine. The galaxy watched nervously as human colonies began appearing on uninhabited worlds throughout civilized space. Each new settlement was protected by defenses that made direct attacks suicidal, and the colonists themselves proved to be peaceful traders rather than military conquerors. Within 5 years, Earth had established over 50 colonies and signed defense pacts with dozens of alien species. The human sphere of influence grew steadily, but through diplomacy and mutual benefit rather than military conquest. The species that had dared to assault Earth learned that humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology or tactics, but their refusal to give up. When fighting for their homes and freedom, the galaxy would never be the same, and the age of human expansion had only just begun. Captain Lee Taemin stood once again on the bridge of the Soul Defender, but now he looked out at a galaxy where Earth was respected and feared. Human colonies dotted the star maps, and alien diplomats competed for favorable trade agreements with the species that had changed everything.